Hello, beautiful peaches. Welcome to the Macros, Metabolism, and Motivation Beautiful Peach podcast. I'm your host, Caitlen, here to help you find your most unwavering love, beauty, and kindness for yourself inside and out. I will be teaching you nutrition and macro tracking secrets, reverse diet and metabolism health tips and tricks, and motivating the heck out of you so you will want to leap up and start conquering your goals right away. I am here to help bring you the light at the end of the tunnel so you can discover that self-love and truly become the most confident, beautiful peach possible. So grab a pen and a piece of paper, or if you're in the car or at the gym, go ahead and bump up your volume just a little so we can drown out those gym grunters next to you, and we can go ahead and dive right in. Don't forget to snag your completely free high-protein macro cookbook by simply doing a 5-star rate and review on this podcast. All you need to do is submit a 5-star rate and review, then send us your name and email through the link in the show notes so we know exactly where to send your cookbook. By submitting your 5-star rate review, this will also automatically enter you into the weekly podcast macro calculator giveaway. Every week, I give away a copy of my See You Schmidt macro calculator to one lovely winner who leaves an awesome 5-star rate and review. This winner is announced every week on my Instagram story as well as my newsletter email list. So leave that 5-star rate and review, and I'll see you in the episode. What is up, my beautiful, beautiful peach? Today, we are going to be talking through overcoming the start over mentality that comes often, very, very often after the holidays, but also it actually starts before the holidays. And I love food. I love, hanging out with my friends. And I think that the holidays are one of the most special times of the year. I would say that most people probably get really excited for holiday season, for all the fun sweets and treats. And it's a time that we are really, taking a step away from the hustle and the bustle of just our day-to-day life. And it still is a different kind of busy, but it's one where we're making holidays with our families. We're cooking, we're eating out, there's extra fun holiday cocktails. And I think for many people, the holidays are simply just full of exciting times. They know they're going to be enjoying all the holiday parties and all the fun festivities. For others, and this included myself back when I was still struggling with my relationship with food and with that restrict binge cycle, it ends up bringing a side of anxiety and a side of stress over the good and bad food being all around us, which also leads to the fear of getting off track, having the weight regain, and ending up in a place where you're feeling more guilt than you are actually enjoying the season, enjoying that time with your friends and your family. So if you resonate with that, this episode is going to be for you 110%. I will be talking about my 4 favorite tips, my absolute favorite tips to help you actually overcome the start over mentality around the holidays. And these are tips that I really suggest you start taking as we're going into holiday season. I guess technically, we kind of have already started in my mind. I technically start holiday season in August. That's when my birthday is. And I'm like, all right, here we go. But for many of you, it is, starting around October. So Halloween into Thanksgiving, Christmas, all the extra holidays. So without further ado, here is podcast episode 100, which is so very much fun. How to overcome the start over mentality around the holidays. So let's dive on in. I love holiday season. I always have. I always will. My birthday is in August. So for me, as someone who thrives around the holidays, I'm like, okay, cool. Let's start this holiday season early. It's still so hot. And I think sometimes when I'm thinking about like holidays and holiday season, I'm like, oh, it's getting a little bit cooler. It's feeling really good outside. I still started in August. It's fine. So August being my birthday, we are kicking off holiday season. September, it's a hint of the cool coming our way. I currently live in Florida, and it doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes it's still pretty hot in September in Florida, and that's okay. But it's still the hint of the cool coming our way, and that's exciting. October, full of all the candy corn, pumpkin spice, leaves are changing, all the fun things are starting to happen, and that's when the extra treats, extra sweets start coming into play. I am also a chocolate person back when I used to go trick-or-treating. I'm like, I wish this was still a thing for adult. I would love that. When I have kids, I will fully be excited to trick-or-treat to eat their candy, but we still just buy our own candy and eat it. But when I was back trick-or-treating when I was a kid, I was always that person who would trade my friends for their chocolate. So my actually sister specifically, she loves or used to. She actually doesn't as much anymore, but loved the, what is it, Sour Patch Kids or Sour Patch Kids. What was it? Swedish Fish, I think, was like one of her favorite things in the entire world. And for me, I'm like, bring on the chocolate. I want the Reese's. I want everything that has to do with chocolate. Not the biggest fan of things with caramel in it, just because I think that like the chewiness ruins that's going to be like such a, I hit or miss with people because I think some people love caramel in their chocolate. I just can't get behind. Anyway, October, the candy is starting to come in. And November, we have turkey. We have, I'm a dark meat fan, so bring on the dark meat. But we have the tasty turkey coming into play, hot chocolate, even more sweet than treat. And then finally, December, it's like the cherry on top. You have your mulled wine. Holiday markets. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for holiday markets. Endless cookie parties, peppermint mocha, and gingerbread flavor comes into play. Sweet Triscuit just started to bark there. I'm not sure if that was super loud on my podcast or not, but it might be. So Triscuit is saying, hey. But today I really want to talk about how I shifted my entire life and my entire perspective on food freedom around the holidays specifically, and how you can do this too, because my goal is for you to go through holiday season, whatever holiday you may be celebrating, and to do it in a way that allows you to feel free, that allows you to not have the weight regain, and actually allows you to make memories with your friends and family and not have food being on the forefront and kind of taking that front running place of your mentality over the holiday season. So, and that's the thing, we are going to be eating cookies regardless, like period, end of story. We're not going to be avoiding them. That's just the way that holiday season is. We can pretend we're going to avoid them all we want. In reality, we will not actually be fully avoiding those cookies. And what happens is I want you to eat those cookies with confidence rather than eating them and having it end with a binge. We're going to eat them regardless, so why not go about it in a way that's going to allow us to lose weight at the same time, to heal our metabolism, and actually do it in a way that brings us positivity and food freedom. And, I think too, it's one of those things where, and this happens time and time again, I see women who will have the same New Year's resolutions, and come holiday season, they say, well, if I had just stayed away from all of the cookies, if I had just been more smart with my food choices, I should have just eaten the salad rather than adding in the turkey. I shouldn't have done this. And it's like, no. You can have all of those things. Like I always say, you can have your cake and eat it too. You get to have the best of all of the worlds of being able to lose weight during the holidays. That is my favorite time to work with my clients because it allows me to help you learn how to actually navigate those situations with absolute confidence and ease. So you're able to lose the weight while enjoying every single holiday party that there is without the binge eating, without the stress over the food, and actually making those memories. So without further ado, let's go ahead and actually dive into my 4 tips. I want you to get a pen and piece of paper if you don't have that out already. And I want you to write these down or in your phone. And if you're listening to this on your phone, go ahead and put it in like your little notes. I want you to write these down, and I want you to be very intentional about actually doing these. I think that a lot of times, and I'm completely guilty of this as well, when I listen to a podcast, I've got a few podcasts that I absolutely love. I love investing, and I'm like getting more into that. And I think it's so interesting. So I have a little note sheet of the different podcasts that I'm listening to and little tidbits here and there. And it's very interesting to look back at it and, connect the dots and have these aha moments. So please, please, please take your notes. I absolutely love this. If there's ever anything where you're like, oh my gosh, this just hit home with me, Caitlen, please send me a DM on Instagram. I have DM on TikTok too. I am terrible with keeping up with it. So please note if you have DM'd me on TikTok, I probably have not seen it. I actually had my DMs off on there for a while. I might turn them off again just because I'm so much better with Instagram. So let's dive in. My 4 tips on how to overcome the start over mentality that comes with the holidays. Okay. Tip number 1, and this may seem like such an easy tip. Do not restrict leading up to the holiday. Restriction is only going to last a certain period of time. This can be different for everyone. It could be a day, it could be a few hours, it could be a week, it could be a month or so, but eventually that restriction is going to end, and we will end up in a place of complete chaos, whether that's completely just starting over again and again, whether that's the massive food guilt, whether that's a binge, everything just kind of crumples down. And this gung-ho energy that we had going into the holiday season of I am just going to restrict, I will not gain weight during this holiday season, I will not get myself into the same place that I was last year, ends up into the complete just chaos of everything falling down, falling off the wagon, because you didn't set yourself up in a way that was sustainable, maintainable, educational, and enjoyable. That's the framework that my coaching and program and courses are built around. We think this way. And this is the way that the restrict and binge cycle goes. I call it the cycle. Very easy name there. We think, I'm going to have just a half of a cookie. We're like, cool, great, just to have a cookie. That's what we're going to do. And always, when we eat that cookie, after not having any kind of sweets or staying away from the bad foods, this could be chips and salsa, this could be a bite of pizza, it could be quite literally anything that you are trying to stay away from. We think, wow, that tasted so good. Well, I'm already off track, so I might as well just keep going. I'm going to go ahead and have the other half cookie. And then bam, we're like, okay, shoot, now I'm really off track. Might as well really keep going, and I will just start over tomorrow. Like, okay, so I'm going to go eat the pizza. I'm going to go eat ice cream. It turns into a free-for-all. It turns into a binge that is going to last usually around the holiday season. Often it can start with like, hey, I'll start over tomorrow. Hey, I'll start over next week. But sometimes we feel so off track and we go full Will Ferrell eating. What was it eating in Elf? I actually haven't watched Elf the past couple years. What was it? Oh my gosh. Spaghetti, right? Spaghetti with syrup and like candy on top of it. We just go full Will Ferrell energy with our binge. And we feel all this guilt. And so often we end up in a place where we're like, okay, well, we're already going into holiday season. We're already almost to the new year. I'm just going to go ahead and say, screw it the rest of the year, go into the new year, and that's when I'll start over. And we get into this place where we're falling off the wagon because we couldn't keep up with the restriction, and holiday food is quite literally all around us. And we are in a place where we're just wanting to enjoy the food. We're going to eat it anyway. What were we even thinking trying to restrict? Silly me. Cool, we'll just wait till the new year. New year rolls around and we are 10 pounds heavier. We are feeling even more guilty. And we're back in a place where we were the previous years of, shoot, I did it again. I went completely haywire over the holidays and now I'm starting over. So by not restricting leading up to the holidays, it doesn't mean going overboard. So I don't want you to take this and think, cool, Caitlin's giving me complete permission to just have a binge every single day, to, go eat cookies for breakfast and lunch and dinner and just to go completely wild, because that's not going to make you feel good, right? That's not going to make you feel good. I simply mean to live your life in moderation. And if you are at a party and want a cookie, have one. And then go ahead and actually plan a cookie into your macros the next day. Maybe you are in a place where you have a full weekend of one party after the next, and you're like, well, I want to have the fun cocktails. I want to have the sweets and treats at these parties. So go ahead and make sure that you are intentionally going into these parties with a plan that you are going to have some of the sweets and treats. And then maybe in the morning, why don't you make yourself a veggie egg white omelet or with a side of oatmeal, maybe for dinner, instead of going gung-ho and continuing on and getting a bunch of pizza and wings. Maybe go ahead and make a lean ground beef burger with whole wheat bun. Sounds quote unquote what people would say unhealthy. Oh gosh, Caitlen, eat a burger? What are you talking about? That sounds like a terrible idea. That's bad food. Well, no, it's not. And it's being mindful and making small tweaks to what you're doing to allow yourself in a space where you're having the moderation. So you're not just going gung-ho and having pancakes and French toast for breakfast and cookies and a big ol' juicy fatty burger, which absolutely, yes, have that if you want to. And then to dinner, you're going to the pizza and the wings, right? You had all kinds of different meals that were full of just things that might not make you feel good. So if you want to have the burger, amazing. Go ahead and have that burger. Have an egg white veggie omelet for breakfast. Do something a little bit more moderation for the evening. So it's more of being moderate with the way that we are thinking about the holidays and the way that we're going about our eating. And then also, if you're tracking macros, then you know for sure that you are in a space of aiming in the right direction. And just a recap for macros, the term macros is the shortened term for the word macronutrients, and that is the category for our protein, our carbs, and our fat. So when we say we are tracking macros, we simply mean we are tracking our protein, our carbs, and our fat. When it comes to the food that we are eating, that we are consuming, it's all composed of a calorie. So calories are making up all of our food.
And when you look at the calorie, it's basically just broken down into protein, carbs, and fat. So when people are tracking calories versus macros, macros is just more specific than calories. And what I personally suggest, there's episodes that I've recorded, I can't remember the name of them off the top of my head. I think it's literally just like tracking calories versus tracking macros. So go take a peek at that. But I think what's important is I started tracking macros about, over 10 years ago. So over a decade ago. And the holiday, I remember it so vividly too, because the holidays, like that year that I started tracking macros, going through the holidays were the best holidays that I have ever had prior to then. And since then, it has been joyous. It has been wonderful. It has been just, I can go through the holidays with confidence, with ease, without weight regain, while still eating the cookies and being mindful. And it's one of those things where if you can go into the holiday season with moderation, with tracking your macros while still eating the food that you love, you will be in such a better place come the new year and very likely already hit your goals for this year before you even hit the new year, right? So if one of your goals is to have food freedom, well, heck, what are you doing? Like, we need to get you tracking your macros. We need to get you taking a deep dive there. So when it does come 2024, you have that food freedom and you get to level the heck up, okay? You get to level up because that's what we want. And so I'm totally lost in my notes here. I always go so far off track with my notes. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, this one's a good too. I'm just going to scroll down to my tip 2 because I'm pretty sure I covered everything for tip 1. But I think one of the really important pieces is when you combine the mental with the science of the physical, you are basically setting yourself up for success. We're going to eat food anyway, so we might as well do it with a plan. We might as well do it with tracking macros. And this goes into my tip for, the second tip that I have. You want to strive for progress, not perfection. And I am such a perfectionist that I used to have a really hard time with macros, actually. And you know what? So I actually take it back what I said about me starting tracking macros a decade ago, and that was the best holiday. And it is true. But when I first started tracking macros, I was actually very obsessive to the point where it was unhealthy. And that was not a lifestyle that I wanted to live. And I had this aha moment of like, I'm not happy tracking with this obsessive, being so obsessive with my macros. I don't want to be so wildly stressed about certain things or, at that point I was still trying to stay away from certain foods because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to gain weight if I eat this. And it's not true. You will not gain weight if you are tracking your macros. Okay. And you have this perfect, as long as it's the perfect number for you and you're adjusting properly. And also, there are not certain foods that will immediately cause weight gain. If you eat carbs, that doesn't cause weight gain, okay? The weight gain actually comes from a slow metabolism and then eating over that intake. Again, tip for a totally different episode here. I'm getting a little bit off track here. But my point is, I want you to strive for progress, not perfection. Perfection quite truly does not exist. It does not exist. It is not real. It is impossible to restrict long term. So if you are going into the holiday season with this intention of restricting and with this intention of not going out with friends and not eating certain foods, you are trying to strive for something that is quite literally not possible. It is not possible, which means that you will fall off of that wagon because it's unrealistic. And what's going to happen is you're going to immediately feel like you are a failure. You are going to immediately feel like you are you cannot trust yourself. And it's just not worth trying to go into this complete 100% in this direction of so precise and rigid that we're not able to live our life. And in addition, our body will not actually allow us to stay in a restrictive place. It will push us to binge. Our body will push us to binge. So if we have a binge and we are sitting there and we are beating ourselves up, what's actually happening is we're beating ourselves up for our body being our body and our body trying to protect us.
I want to interrupt this oh so lovely podcast episode of mine to let you know that BPM, my beautiful peach mastermind, is open for enrollment. BPM is my high-level group coaching program for women who want to reverse diet to heal their metabolism from that restrictive burnout so they can lose the weight and keep it off for good. It is for women who want to increase their energy and joy for life so they can chase after their kiddos, go out to eat with their significant other, and even have wine night with the girls without that restrict, binge, and food guilt cycle. As a bonus, all of my BPM clients get complimentary access to my reverse diet course,
well, you will learn exactly how to adjust macros for reverse dieting on your own. This quite literally includes my own personal spreadsheets that help you customize your reverse diet for your success. I even threw in my alcohol plug-and-play tracker for you ladies. Go ahead and apply through the link in the show notes or hop over to my Instagram and feel free to send me the DM BPM sneak peek for my inside look of the program details. I can't wait to see your application and enjoy the rest of the episode. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to binge. It's okay to fall off the wagon because it's teaching you what you do and don't want. You don't want to binge eat. You don't want to do keto. You don't want to cut out your sugar. You don't want to avoid the social situations. You want to be able to live your life and also do it in a way that's actually sustainable, maintainable, educational, and enjoyable. So when it comes to tracking macros, it's okay not to be 1000% perfect. Now, our goal is, yes, we do want to be very consistent with our macros. The idea is we want to be actually hitting those goals. We want to be hitting those numbers. And also when you have a game plan that allows you to eat out, to travel, to enjoy the holidays, you know how to navigate those situations with confidence and ease. It is not overwhelming. It is not stressful. You do not and will not feel restricted. Okay. You will not feel restricted. And that's, I have seen it hundreds and hundreds of times. This is what I teach in BPM. This is the way that I personally live my life. People will DM me and say, I'm so jealous. I don't get how you're tracking your macros and eating out. And it's like, I got you. You just need to learn how to navigate those situations. It's a lot easier when you actually have the game plan. And I will admit, over the holidays, there are times where I am tracking a little bit less precise in the sense of on Christmas, I will not be tracking my macros. On Christmas Eve, I will not be tracking my macros. And also, around that time, I am being consistent with my goals. I am being consistent with what I'm doing. I'm not in this all or nothing mentality. I'm not going, completely derailing myself with binges. I'm not completely going sporadic with not tracking for months at a time or weeks at a time, every other month or every other week, right? I'm being consistent 95% of the time. And then the rest of it, you're allowing yourself to have some lenience there. And if you are consistent with your goals and you are consistent with your macros and you've learned how to navigate the real world scenarios, your body will still adapt. Your metabolism will hop back on once you get back into your routine again after you're a couple days off or whatever it may be. And that's something that I teach in BPM as well, how to travel and kind of creating a game plan there so your body and your metabolism can jump back right after without you completely derailing all of the progress that you have made. And this goes for so actually tip number 3 goes for this as well. I think a lot of people around the holidays will avoid their binge triggers for so long during the year. And you're like, okay, well, I binge whenever I go out to eat. I binge when I have a cookie in the house. I binge when I, have this or that, whatever your triggers might be. And there are usually more triggers around the holidays. So there's usually more cookies. There's usually more sweets and treats. You're normally seeing those things more often. So those triggers are coming up more and more in your life. And it really can't. It could be absolutely anything. It could even just be the weekend. And maybe you have 2 weekends out of your month where you're social. And now all of a sudden the holidays, you're every single weekend and some weekdays, you have social situations going on. Your kiddos want to make cookies with you, right? There's things that are happening. Actually, the real holidays, the food, the family, the fun around those holidays. And I have in my notes, I have the new peppermint mocha latte. That's funny because it's so true. It's so good. But the list goes on. So if we're trying to avoid the triggers, we're trying to avoid these social settings, we're actually pushing the problem under the rug. And when we push the problem under the rug, eventually that rug is going to be moved. All of the triggers are going to be poured on out, and you will not know how to handle them all at once. And it turns into the free-for-all. It turns into the all or nothing, and all of a sudden you're off track again. So, and this is also why I love so much working with clients during the holidays, because my goal for you is for us to address each and every single one of your triggers to heal from the inside out. We don't need to pull all out at once. We don't need to be completely, all right, let's do it all at once, but say, hey, okay, so you find that you binge when you eat cookies. And actually, let me give you a client example. I'm going to talk you through one of my clients in BPM. We were just having this conversation earlier this week. So for her, she, on her Friday after the work week, her favorite thing is she has a bakery that's near her house, and she loves to get the homemade cookies, or I guess technically bakery made cookies. But I feel like that's still homemade. I don't know. I feel like bakery cookies give you that homemade feel. So she loved to get those cookies. But what would happen is she would go into a complete binge because she was trying to actually stay away from those cookies. So instead of stopping at her favorite bakery to grab some of those cookies, she would skip right past it and end up going home and have a complete binge, would lead through the weekend, through next week, and it would be the all or nothing. So what we have done is I'm actually having her stop at that bakery every Friday, grab a couple cookies, bring them home, plan them into her macros. Therefore, she's having those cookies. And then the next day she's like, hey, cool, I had them. I had the cookies. I enjoyed it. It was great. No guilt happening here. I know I'm on track. We're feeling good. And also, if she's like the next day still wanting more, cool, go get another cookie, plan it into your macros. You're going to be okay. And so I think it's one of the important things. And she's got other binge triggers that we're going to start working on next. And it's important to not avoid the binge triggers because you can't avoid them. It's not possible unless you're just staying in your home, never leaving, living a poor quality life. Like, you will have those triggers around you. And so it's better to actually start to take care of them and to start healing from the inside out so you're able to live your life. And I think this is going to go into tip 4. I think something that's really important is you have to give your body grace when things do not go the way that you want, or if you wake up on a random day and you're bloated. When I write the notes for my podcast episode, I actually cycle sync for work as well as my workouts. So for specifically writing my podcast notes for what I want to talk about, I wrote this a couple weeks ago, and I was coming off of a weekend where it was just like celebrating. We were doing all kinds of fun things. We were on the boat. I drank more alcohol than I normally would. I had a heck of a lot less nutrients than I normally would. And also, this was not a binge. This was all intentional. I had confidence throughout the whole entire weekend with every drink I had, every cookie I ate, I bought what are they called? Milano? Milano, is that right? I think the Milano cookies, like the dark chocolate ones, they're so good. I love them. I haven't had them in so long. We were at the grocery store getting snacks for the boat, and I was like, I have to have these. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And I think what's really important is I went into the weekend knowing that's the way that my weekend was going to go, and I was okay with it. It was at no point a binge. I haven't even binged. I mean, it's been so incredibly long since I binged. And also, I knew that because this weekend was going to have a little bit more alcohol, I tried to chug as much water as I possibly could, but I am 1000% positive I did not get enough, water in my body. I was eating less nutrients. I was out of my regular schedule of, the week to week or whatever it may be. And so I knew that coming into that next day, that Monday, I'd be a little bit bloated. I'd have a little bit of bloat. That's okay. It is okay if we are bloated. It is not going to be the way that you're going to be for the rest of your life. It's not going to be the end all. And I want you in those days to put on the pants that feel good. Don't try and squeeze yourself into something that's not going to feel good. And really just give your body grace, because that's just your body being your body. I think too many people try to be so totally perfect that it makes them feel they are not worthy. If you are bloated, it's okay. You're human. Everybody bloats. I bloat. Okay. And it's normal. It's human. It's natural. So give yourself grace, not only for the bloat, not only for your body feeling different. Our body changes throughout our cycle as well. So I think people start to have this panic mode of they have a week, depending on where they are in their cycle around that period, whatever it may be. And they're, starting to see these changes to their body. They're going SOS. This is not good. And it's like, it's just your body. It's just your body. Give yourself some grace. And giving yourself grace can also come into a place of, if you've had a binge, don't beat yourself up. Don't go into this massive restriction again. Give yourself grace. Give your body grace. Try and, and it's different for everyone because not everyone does have a coach, which is why I do what I do. If you would like support, that's what I am here for. My Beautiful Peach Mastermind. I do actually currently have spots open. And we are doing just a holiday. It's gonna be so incredibly good for the holidays. I've had so many clients who in the past years were like, I honestly thought going into the holidays, this was the worst time to start BPM, my Beautiful Peach Mastermind, to start whatever it may be. And they said it quite literally changed their life because it allowed them to go through the holidays with ease, with confidence, with being able to enjoy the food, where we're actually going through those triggers and helping them have the confidence. Losing weight, right? So when you come into 2024, into the next year, you are able to actually create New Year's resolution and actually create these resolutions that are going to last and allow you to have the confidence of knowing that when you do, and I don't always like using, I just don't like the term fall off track, because I don't think that we're really ever falling off track. We might have a binge, but that doesn't, it's okay. That you're human. It happens. It just means that we get to talk about it figure out why you binged, and start to actually heal what's going on, why, that trigger from the binge. So when that trigger comes around again in the future, you actually have an action plan to navigate that situation with confidence and ease. So you're able to wake up the next day, say, hey, I didn't binge. I feel great. Or maybe you have another binge and it's like, great, that's another time for us to talk about it even more. Say, hey, okay, what feelings came up at this point? Like what changed in this binge compared to last one? Let's talk about it. And so I think people are quick to give themselves so much, to not give themselves credit, to say, you're not worthy. Ugh, I binged. I'm not worthy. I'm a failure. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. That's not true at all. You are not a failure. You are learning. That is how we learn and grow. If we do not fail, heck, did not mean to cuss just then. I just said a bad word. It's fine. I do that every now and then and it just kind of like slips out. But heck, I have, quote unquote, what people could say failed so many times in my life. So many times. And when you start to own up to those failures, what you think is a total ruining of your life, and actually see what door is opening when that happens, that is when you have the self-awareness. And that is when you can take the power back, take the control back, and actually move forward and actually go into this next chapter of your life. So take the power back. Let's have that at our end of the episode. Take the power back. To do a quick recap of our 4 tips here. So number 1, do not restrict leading up to the holidays. Track macros if you need to. Highly suggest, obviously, I will always say track your macros because it's a game changer. And fit the food you love into your day-to-day life, right? Okay, so fit your food in. Number 2, strive for progress, not perfection, because there is no such thing as being perfect. It is quite literally impossible. Yes, fairy tales are great. Yes, our books and our TV shows show these picture perfect worlds. No, there's no such thing as perfection. You don't want to miss out on the growth. So please try not to surpass the growth into a perfect world because it does not exist. Don't avoid your binge triggers. Instead, find support so you can start to heal from the inside out. If you are finding yourself feeling guilty after eating certain foods or fearing good food, bad food, that's a sign that you need support, you need help, and that's okay. It's going to change your life. And last but not least, give your body grace. Whether that is you beating yourself up over a binge, whether that is you beating yourself over bloat, whatever it may be, give your body grace. And with each and every single one of those, you get to take the freaking power back. You get to take it back because you are so incredibly worthy. You are so worthy. And these tips really, quite truly, they changed my life. And I really, the kickoff point was starting to track my macros. And I know I say that time and time again, but the kickoff point for me and my life absolutely changing started with tracking macros. And like I said, I failed so many times. When I first started tracking, I was just gung-ho with this crazy do or do not eat certain things, just, wild. You cannot go out to eat because you will get off track. I obviously did not know how to navigate those situations like I do now, which is last night, Caitlen and I have big life changes coming. I actually posted about this on my story on Instagram, but we have big life changes coming and I'm so very excited. And so we went out to dinner last night and it was a Tuesday. So I'm recording this on a Wednesday. It was a Tuesday, random Tuesday. We had steak, scallops, wine. I had port later on. I also laugh because I think people think whenever I hear about port, it was a new girl and it was like, oh, we hung out with all little older people drinking port. And I'm like, I love port. I think it's so good. I think it's so tasty, but obviously very different than your classic wine. I'm more of a dry red wine kind of person. I do love, or dry white. I love red and white, but I'm more of a red person 90% of the time. But if it's a warm day outside, a crisp white wine is perfect. I could talk wine all day. I love wine. So anyway, besides that, when I first started tracking my macros, I was obsessive and it was not healthy. Now being on the other side, knowing how to navigate situations, really enjoying the holidays, wanting you to eat out, wanting you to travel, wanting you to enjoy those real world scenarios. Because when we're actually going through those triggers of what it is that is causing you to feel off track, what is causing you to derail your progress, starting to give yourself grace in those scenarios so you can actually own up to whatever the situation was and say, hey, here's what I did. Here's how I could change the situation. This is how I want to navigate it in the future. Hey, I need help navigating this in the future. Great, cool. Let me help you. right? It allows you to start to learn from those mistakes and go into the next chapter of your life where you are growing, you are learning, taking the power back. So with all of this, I am obsessed with you all. I'm so obsessed with, I'm obsessed with you guys. You ladies, for social media, for just the internet is a wild place. I love my TikTok. I love my Instagram. My main social media kind of was Instagram for a long time. Dabbled with Pinterest. I do very much enjoy Pinterest. Then I started getting into TikTok. There's so many different fun platforms. I will admit, I've never understood Twitter, or I get it. It's just not for me. I made a Twitter account like forever ago, and I just can't get into it. I don't know. I can't share enough of what I want to share. But I will say, I love my podcast because it allows me to communicate to you in a way that is just like wholly me. I think that the people who listen to my podcast episodes know me as me. And I'm just like, so if you don't enjoy my podcast, then that's okay. Like, that's fine. I'm going to show up. I'm going to educate. I'm going to be nerdy. I'm going to be weird. I'm going to mess up my words sometimes. That's just the way that I am. And I'm obsessed with the people who listen to my podcast because you are kind, you are genuine, you are here to learn. And that's not what you get everywhere on the internet. This is a total rant besides anything nutrition wise. I just have so much gratitude for you because being someone who shares education to hundreds of thousands of people on the internet, I millions of people, honestly, if you are looking at all the numbers, there's some mean people out there. I don't like mean people. I can't handle drama. I can't do it. I am like, haha, I appreciate you sharing that. User 59420, like, great, awesome. I'm sorry you're having a bad day. Don't take it out on me. Sending you some love, and we will talk another time if you'd like to. So I just, so much gratitude for you because you are incredible. You are wonderful. You make me smile. You make me happy. And you are so insanely worthy of every single thought that you think that you are not worthy of. You are. So don't you dare forget it. Okay? Do not forget it. I'm obsessed with you. Capable, you're worthy, you're absolutely freaking beautiful. So gosh darn beautiful. Every step of your journey, you are beautiful. So give yourself a hug, big ol' hug of how much you love yourself, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye, my beautiful peach.